everyone, you're with Lucy from Lucy's Art Studio, and today I'm going to show you how I created this man from a photo which I got from Pixabay, and I'll put the link to that in the description if you want to give it a go. I am also using a dip pen, so I have quite a few different nibs here. What I'm using is I'm not using a calligraphy one, I'm using one with quite a fine point. So I'll just quickly show you what the point looks like. And I collect inkwells, so I've got that. So it's just your fine point. Now, obviously you may not have one, although sometimes it seems to be something that people give artists for Christmas presents. So you may well have one and you want to be able to use it for something. So if you do not have one of those, you can just use your waterproof pens. So this is just a waterproof uni pen fine liner. So if you don't have one of them, you can most certainly use it. So I'm going to start with the drawing, and I am going to do a pencil drawing first, so you'll need a pencil as well. And we're just going to do the pencil sketch basically first. I'm not even erasing any of that. I'm leaving it. If you feel confident, you can go straight into the pen and ink, but I'm just wanting to show you today how to do it with the doing it with the pencil. So if you like my videos, please make sure that you click that like button, and you will see my new videos coming up, and I'm going to do quite a series. Okay, I'm using today India ink, and that's one that's a permanent one, so when it dries it won't bleed, which is really kind of important. Just like the waterproof pen. And also the color, the brown color I've used is walnut ink, but you can use any kind of sepia inks as well. So I just wanted to let you know that before we get started. So if you like the book I'm drawing in, which you will see, this is a book I've made myself, and you can head over to my video on how to do Coptic binding to do this yourself. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the image. So I'm kind of doing this very lightly with pencil, so you can see here I'm being quite light. That is one of the problems with video when you're doing pencil drawings. I'm going to just come in a little bit closer so you can see it a bit better, but you can see here that I'm just doing the basic shape. So when I draw, I kind of eye the picture, and then I'm sort of measuring in my head how it has to be, and you can see there I'm not worried if I've got more than one line. So what I think is really important when you draw is to be okay with lots of lines on the page. This is how I draw, and you can see here I'm speeding it up for you, but I'm really drawing very sort of fast as well. I mean, even if you didn't speed this up, sorry, it would be quite a fast drawing. But what I'm doing is kind of gauging little sections, being okay with the extra lines. When I teach drawing, one of the things I have in my classes is people are always worried they need to rub out the part, and you don't always need to rub out anything. Just get your drawing in. Be okay with drawing really lightly. It's kind of important to draw light. Now here you've seen I'm actually measuring. So from his waist, or just under the piano accordion, to the bottom of his feet and to his shoulders is very much the same length. So I do a bit of measuring. And so I'm just playing here with the chair, getting a little bit of that in, doing a little bit of adapting to make this piano accordion look right. And, you know, his face and his hat, just basically putting where his eyes and mouth and everything is with my pencil. Because when I start to do my pen and ink work, I really want to make sure that I have my basic areas. So now I'm going to start doing the penning in part, sorry about that, and I'm just using my pen. I actually do like using a nib pen like this, a dip pen, because I feel like you actually considering a little bit when you have to go and get extra ink. Now you can see here I am not doing perfect lines. with my line work, I am trying to get in some of this movement in his trousers, some of those creases. And the nice thing about this, I really love pen and ink work that is very rough and sketchy. And one of the things in my drawing history is that I often used to do this sketchy kind of artwork, which I always really thought, no, I don't like it. I want to have this perfect lines. But now I'm embracing that and kind of really liking how this looks. So especially when you start inking it in, you are really getting this movement, this sense of feeling. Even in this picture, I feel like it's getting a kind of a sense of the music, of the playing. So when you start doing this, please do not do perfect lines. Make sure that you get some nice curves. Now, because I've penciled it in, it does help with the drawing, and so that I can really be loose with the pen work and not worry too much where the lines are. It's all organized. So as I come to his face, I'm being a little bit more considering of the shape of his face. And I noticed that I did the shape of his hat slightly wrong. We don't want to put too much detail in his face. So I'm just putting the shape of his mouth, and really it's more the top lip. I'm going to add a little bit more detail with shading later. So don't do whole eyes and things like that. Try to do things, just a gesture of them. And I always say less is more. You can always add more later. So don't go in whole hog. I've seen there that he's got a bit of a mustache. Sometimes a mustache is quite hard to colour in. So particularly because his is grey. I'm putting in here just the shape of the chair. The chair to me is not the important part of this image, so I'm not putting a lot of effort into the chair. I'm just going to give some sort of gesture that that's what he's sitting on. He could be sitting on a chair, or on anything really, could be a step. Now I'm going with my dip pen and making some more of these loose kind of shape. So I thought that was his jacket first, but it's a bag he's got, so I've just made that more bag-like. You can see those lovely creases in his trousers. I'm adding those creases in with the pen. Everything I'm doing, I'm moving around the picture. So I think that's a really good thing to think of, that I'm moving around the picture. Now I've taken a brush with a wash of the same ink, so a little bit of a grey ink. I've got lots more water in. You could use watercolor paints, whatever you like. And now what I'm doing is I'm adding shadows. So going around, and you can do this with a water brush with ink in it, or in this case, I'm just using a normal old brush. And you can see here, as soon as we get some shadow on his face from the hat, it starts to make it look so much more realistic. So sometimes your drawings can look a little unreal until you start to get that lovely shadow in. And be considerate where you're putting the shadows and the color. So I can see here that it's quite dark there underneath the piano accordion. So I'm just looking at where I see very dark areas and getting them in first, and then I can worry about my mid-tones. So here I've got the stick needs to be darker, so I'm adding a little bit of that. I can see where the trousers need to be really dark towards the back, and some of those creases I'm making nice and dark. So don't cover your whole picture. Don't, less is more. Like I said, a lot of the time it's a good thing to let it dry, then re-evaluate whether you think it looks right or not, because it's very easy to go too far. So you don't need to do a lot of detail in things like the background and the chair. It's really up to you. I'm going to add some little splashes and stuff right at the end of this video to just show you how you can add things without making it too lifelike. Now, I am using my dip pen again, and I'm going through into areas where I feel like there's not enough detail. So I want to get those little dots in. I'm going to do some cross hatching here and there. And I do this last, so you don't need to do this before. You can see here I wanted it to be darker at the side to make it look like the actual piano accordion went around a corner. You can see here I did the front of his shoes, so you can see that it turns up. And all of this here, this detail, is I do it now. I don't do it right at the beginning. I always think you need to reassess drawings. I can't sort of stress that enough. You know, work a little bit, have another little look and see what happens. Now what I'm going to do is take my walnut. I'm going to just put some shadows after I'm going to do the walnut ink as well. But I'm just doing some shadows here. And now I'm going to take my walnut ink, and walnut ink is like made from walnuts or sometimes peat moss. But what you can see here is I'm not even really caring where I'm putting this. I'm just putting a little bit in the shadow areas, and I like that kind of sepia look, so I'm just dropping it in, making it more interesting. And you can see here adding it to the shadows, and to me it's like an old world sepia photo, so it does give a lovely effect. One of the things I like that kind of sepia look, but I don't want to make it over the top. Now I've just about got him how I want. I just want to add a couple of extra little bits. So I've let it dry, and I'm just coming back to it and putting a bit of water around him. And then I'm just going to tear a piece of paper just down the center of him like that. And I'm just going to take my walnut ink and do some splatters lightly around the background. So that's bleeding a little bit. I'm kind of liking that. Now some of them where I think I look at it and I go, I don't really want it to be so obviously a dot, I'm going to just move them around a little bit. But what I've done that for is just to give it a little bit of something in the background. So don't be scared to just take a bit of color. I'm always very tempted to add a little bit of blue at this stage into it as well, but I'm not going to this time. I'm going to keep it sepia. So if you liked this video and you enjoyed it, you know, you can watch it step by step. Make sure that you download the picture. Now the picture that I have actually done it from has a ballerina on it as well, but I'm going to put the link in the group to Pixabay where you can find that picture. Now I do hope you enjoy this and give it a go. Let me know how you go, whether you liked doing it, and also you can go to my Lucy's Art Studio page on Facebook and you'll be able to see, let me know what you've done. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon. You're with Lucy from Lucy's Art Studio.